Welcome to Power Sketching, where you can learn to sketch like a real pro. Don't get sand kicked in your face at the beach. Don't let people tell you your life is going nowhere just because you can sketch. With my simple strategies and a whole lot of practice, you'll be sketching like a pro in no time at all with Power Sketching. Get some lead in your pencil and get ready to go with Power Sketching.
Welcome to the all-new video on how to sketch. Sketching is fun and sketching is cool. If you can sketch, you can communicate. And if you can communicate by sketching, then you can get ideas across and read drawings more easily. Plus, you can impress people at parties with your super honed sketching skills. Try it out. You'll see. And one other thing, I'm going to show you some techniques so amazing here that you could become an absolute sketching maniac. This is incredible stuff. In this video, we're going to look at the history of sketching, the advantages of sketching, and some rules and techniques to get you started. Let's look at some history behind sketching. Okay, back in the old days, people didn't even talk at all. They just picked up a rock and drew a picture on it. Now that seemed to work just fine for a while, but it became difficult to talk about feelings or attract a partner. Not very romantic, but sketching was still the best way to describe how buildings went together. Let's look at the advantages of sketching over other mediums. For example, let's look at ways to describe this photograph.
We could describe this image verbally, but this usually lacks clarity, and when I walk away, I'll probably forget what was said. You could write it down for me, but it would probably take an entire page to describe what's going on. Alternatively, you could describe it by drawing a sketch, and if you annotated this, it would give me all the information I need. You know the saying, picture tells 1,000 words. Why do you think builders require drawings rather than written instructions?
Now we're going to talk about rules and techniques for sketching. This is some of the juicy stuff, and it's all about how to get your sketches done. Okay, if you follow the rules and learn these techniques, you can produce some great looking sketches. Rules! Rules, rules, rules. Remember this, SCAT, S-C-A-T. Okay, the S stands for scale. Use a scale that provides the best size to make the drawing clear. Okay, using a scale helps keep all things in proportion. Secondly is clarity. Draw clearly using a black pen and then thicken up those elements that are cut in section. It usually works best to draw in pencil first and then go over it again with your pen. Next is annotation. Put some notes on your drawing. Okay, the sorts of things that explain what the material is, how it's fixed, and what's the spacing. Okay, and lastly we have title. Always give your drawing a title. Okay, otherwise no one has much of a clue as to what you're on about. Okay, the best types of drawings. What are the best types of drawings to convey that information clearly? I'll tell you. Cross sections. Cross sections. Okay? Why? Because a section slices right through the middle of everything you're looking at and shows us all the materials in one go. For example, let's look at the sandwich. A plain looking sandwich, and from the outside you can't tell what's in the middle of it. But if I cut it through the middle, I can see inside. It's like a cross section. Without that cross section, I couldn't tell. Now I can. Yum yum. As you can see, I'm still working on the sandwich. Now I want to talk about visualization. I've just finished this mouthful. Visualization is one of the most important aspects to understand when you're trying to draw. When we're sketching, we need to be able to look at a picture or a scene and describe how that's made up. Okay, so one of the most important aspects to understand is that you need to be able to visualize the construction before you can draw it. This is something that really only comes with a lot of practice and experience, but it's something to start thinking about now.
Let's look at some drawing techniques. I'm going to talk about two techniques, very standard techniques. The first one, using a pencil, draw on tracing paper. That tracing paper can be laid over graph paper, and the graph paper acts as a guide underneath to keep your lines straight. If you're happy with the drawing you've done, ink it up with your black pen and photocopy, and hey presto, you're done. The second technique is where you use a pencil and you sketch directly onto plain paper. You'll need to use a scale ruler to get your sizes right. Once you're happy, ink it up with your black pen. Wait till the ink is dry and rub out your pencil lines. Then photocopy, and hey presto, you're done again.
When you're sketching, try not to have all your elements stuck together. Try and imagine you're putting a bit of air between each material or element in the drawing. This adds a lot of clarity. It also enables more information to be added, such as the DPC shown between the beam and timber plate on this sketch. If you want to be a pro sketcher, then you got to cross your lines at the corners. This gives a crisper look to your drawings. Always thicken up the lines of elements that are actually cut in the section. The best way to do this is by drawing your entire sketch with a fine tip pen and then going over these elements later on with a thicker pen. Always give your drawing a title and add notation and dimensions if required. When adding notes, be specific about the material shown. Rather than noting it as flooring, note it as 20mm HD particle board flooring, because that's what it is. Great notation will also describe the construction. For example, your note could read 20mm HD particle board flooring fixed to 200x50 timber joists fixed to 100x50 timber plate. Timber plate M12 bolt fixed to 250 UB steel beam. Now that's a great note. Add hatches and fills to give further clarity. This not only gives a pro touch, but it helps identify the material. For example, concrete, timber, particle board and steel all have a standard hatch or fill. Refer to AS 1100 for the industry standard hatches to be used.